Game 2 here, and the first interesting thing that I saw on the board was that the Bane pile was the castles. And Young Witch reads, any card from that pile serves as the Bane. So all the castles block the Young Witch in this game, making it the most expensive Bane pile in the game. Very interesting that. Anyways, other things on the board, we have Hunting Party for draw, Advisor, Magpie as well. Hunting Party and Magpie seem like real good cards. The Hunting Party is a bit worse with the shelters around, but what can you do? Still draws for you, right? You can get around to playing lots of Merchant Guilds if you like, because there's the Walled Village on the board, or Grave Robbers, or anything really. So we'll see how we could build out from here. Now, I'm thinking about this Bane pile here, and I am gonna open with the Bane because one, it'll trash the Hovel, right? So I only have 2 junk cards in my deck. Two, it prevents my opponent from picking up a cheap Bane. And while the Humble Castle isn't the greatest Bane in the world, the Crumbling Castle is worse. So I pick up Young Witch because there's no way to trash curses. Young Witch is going to be a big deal here, I think. So I go for Young Witch and Bane against my opponent's Magpie and Silver. Looking back at the game, I feel like Young Witch Silver is better because you could get to Hunting Party more quickly. I was fortunate to draw 5 coppers and pick up a Hunting Party, well 4 coppers in the Humble Castle, but yeah, you don't need to play well if you could get that lucky, right? So I was able to pick up a Hunting Party. My opponent gets also a Hunting Party, but that's because he opened Magpie and Silver, that's rightly so. So I did pick up a Magpie as well. Those are going to be very, very important cards, and here I pick up a second one. Second Magpie for me here, and just hoping to try to get this Young Witch around as quickly as possible. My opponent now also has one, but he doesn't have a Bane card yet, and I don't know if he will pick up a Bane card because Bane is our victory card, man. That's crazy. That's not something you want to buy early in the game. So here I consider picking up a third Magpie, but seeing that my opponent has not picked up a Bane card yet, and there's no way to trash curses, I'm going to pick up a second Young Witch. I feel okay with this because there's a Necropolis in my deck, and the Hunting Party pretty good at finding the Necropolis. So I feel like there's a reasonable chance that I will be able to see and play both Young Witches at some point in time. Now, another serious consideration there was Silver for sure. I don't have a Silver yet, and I want to be buying Hunting Parties in a deck that already has one curse. So that is something I need to address quite quickly here, quite quickly. And in fact, here I do pick up the Silver. So having that Silver around makes me feel a lot better in terms of picking up Hunting Parties, because Hunting Party is how I win this game. I feel if I could see the Young Witch, both my Young Witches right now, play those, it'll probably knock my opponent out of the game from the sheer amount of junk in his deck. So I'm able to see one Young Witch here, and luckily this Magpie drew me up into some money, and I'm able to pick up my second Hunting Party. So we're looking in decent shape here. I don't think that I am losing the Magpie split or any split really, and I'm very, very happy with my 2 Young Witches. Another reason for the second Young Witch is that I expect that this deck won't be the greatest thing in the world, and having a bit of filtering from the Young Witch, like so, like this here, is going to be quite helpful, I feel. So that is another reason for the Young Witch. Hunting Party for me here, and for the next little while I'm just going to go after the Hunting Parties. Now at this point I start to look at piles, and this is something I didn't consider at the beginning of the game, but I noticed it during the middle. The Magpies will kill themselves. Well, when I say kill themselves, the pile will empty. They won't kill themselves, like trash themselves like Rays, but they'll eventually empty the supply of Magpies. The curses will drain as well, especially since my opponent has no Bane. We can't indefinitely be blocking our Young Witches here. Leaving only 4 Hunting Parties in the stack as the last pile for a 3-pile ending. So we are actually quite quickly approaching a 3-pile ending here. Something to keep note of. So here now, I'm just trying to be a bit careful with my Hunting Party. I do not want to cause it to trigger a shuffle where I have a lot of junk cards in it. So I'm just thinking about what is in the rest of my deck at this point. There is the Humble Castle, there is one of the shelters, I believe, the Overgrown Estate. The Necropolis is here, and the Hovel, I trashed it first turn. So I get as close as possible to the end of the deck, and I leave it right there. There's no real good cards in the rest of that shuffle to warrant me triggering it. I do have 8 here, and instead of picking up a province, I pick up another hunting party, just to be a bit more solid, a bit more stable, because we have no trashing, and things could go wrong. Like, this is not a good starting hand for me here. My opponent, he picked up an advisor on his last turn, I believe. I didn't like the advisor. I know what he's trying to do. He sees the 3 pile as well, but he doesn't want to go after the hunting parties to hasten the 3 pile. He even buys a duchy here. He lost the curse split quite handsomely. I think I only took on 3 curses and he took the rest. So he really wants to avoid that 3 pile at all costs. But I feel like the advisor isn't going to do good work for him. Perhaps another silver or crumbling castle was better at that point for him. I don't know. I'm just giving you my 2 cents on the matter, right? So we are standing on the brink of a 3 pile here. I think I collected a fair bit of the magpies. Again, I'm happy with that. If I had given him a lot of the magpies, he might have been able to creep up to province quite a few times, but doesn't have a lot of them, or a majority of them at least. So that is comforting. And again, just trying to be very careful, draw as close to the end of the deck as possible here without triggering a shuffle. So knowing that my opponent has no extra gain, no buys coming from anywhere, I feel very, very safe in picking up this hunting party. I also have 7. I considered picking up a gold instead, but the hunting party just seems to be the best thing, really. I saw that my deck was able to get me up to 8 on one of these shuffles, so I expect that it can do the same here if I pick up more hunting parties. In the meantime, my opponent is really struggling. The curses have put too much of a dent into what he could do at this point. And he just picks up a silver on his last turn, right? As good of a card as he can buy at this point in the game. Now what I'm going to do here is pick up a province. I do see enough money to get me to province. I do pick up the province instead of the hunting party. I don't want to buy the penultimate hunting party, then have him pick up a duchy, go ahead and me have a stall turn, leaving him with an opportunity to win. The province puts me firmly ahead, accommodates for 1 or 2 stall turns that may come up. Now I could start going after the piles a bit more comfortably. 6 here is hunting party number 9 of the stack, and I just need to find enough money to pick up the last one. I don't see enough money here to pick up the last one, but at least I know I have enough money for a crumbling castle, which honestly is just as good as a duchy at this point. And it gives me a silver, which helps me to buy the last hunting party. So not able to get to the hunting party there, but a crumbling castle will suffice. And with this hand, feel very confident in getting to the hunting party to finish the game. So that is how game 2 ends. A very, very quick ending because the curses emptied very quickly and the magpies emptied very quickly. That's something you always have to watch with magpie on the board. It will empty itself very quickly, and then, you know, piles can become an issue, as it was in this game here. So that is how game 2 ends. The second Young Witch put in a lot of work, came in very, very clutch, allowed me to win that curse split handsomely, and gave me all the time in the world to finish the game. So, game 2, thank you for watching, and I will see you